Welcome to the Autobahn Country Club here in Joliet. This is OctoberFast 2021. My name is Jeremy Scott, and for the first time, we are going live to the World Wide Web on the Autobahn Country Club YouTube page. So, if you're here at the racetrack, make sure you tell your friends and family that we're live on YouTube. And for those of you joining us on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. We're really happy to have you part of history. We've got an exciting slate of races for you today. Coming up next, we've got the GT Challenge races. That's the first one. So we have 5 classes of GT Challenge racers, and we've got a vintage race this weekend as well. So that's going to be fun intermixed in. Newly minted SCCA GT1 champion Tom Herb alongside his team owner Mark Bowden. Oh, by the way, his 2 drivers, including Tom Herb and Tim Kinsman, won in the runoff. So, gentlemen, congratulations on the win. And how Tom won is actually pretty interesting. We'll talk about that during the race. Kevin Davis facing some stiff competition in the Wings and Things competition. He is your pole sitter ahead of Jordan Missig. Also defending Spec Miata champion Haruka Kushida is your pole sitter in Spec Miata. All 3 of our wheel-to-wheel races, 12 laps in length. We'll have the Chase Race Pro, the final one of the season. After this race, that will be 6 laps in length to determine the champion in the Chase Race competition. And if you missed it yesterday, it was a lot of fun. There was a tie for lead. Now there's 10 points separating the top 2, 35 points separate the top 3. We'll go through that a little bit later on. As always, we want to thank our sponsors for making this whole weekend possible. Lexus, I do see some people in the Lexus observation deck. If you have a chance to head up there, head over there. Next to it is Chevrolet. We also have a flight deck here, and Haggerty, the official sponsor for the Autobahn Racing Series, is also on deck today. Great to have you with us, and once again, we are going to be on YouTube. We're actually live on YouTube right now. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as Caitlin Rady sings our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what a bright we have at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Rockets the guns bursting in air, good through the night, but a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave over all and over and the home of the brave.
Caitlin Rady, our national anthem singer. Here comes the flyover. That was Michael Frank from Elite Rotorcraft with the flyover. And now for the second most famous sports of racing, drivers to the cars. Drivers to the cars. Just moments away from the most famous words in motorsports. We'll have Lee Ballard do that in just a little bit. We'll give drivers a little bit to get in their cars, as we do have some coming by. While we have a moment, we do want to let you know that the ISF 350F Sport is producing up to 311 horsepower. The ISF 350F Sport is track-honed, optimized for aggressive launches and intense cornering. Larry? All right. It is time for our Grand Marshal, and I am so pleased to have Larry Ballard here. He is founding member, supporter of our racing series, and what's interesting is he's never missed a race. Larry, it's time.
Good afternoon. What a wonderful day to have races at our Autobahn Country Club. So, drivers, start your engines.
And the command has been given. The command has been given. And drivers, if you have not reached to the grid, we recommend you do so. As the field starts to fill out. All right, so this race is going to be one pace lap and 12 race laps. Mix the classic cars. You're going to have GT1 through 5. Now, here's how the grid's going to lay out. GT1 through 4, they will have their own start. They'll be followed by the GT5, which is a little lower horsepower. They will have their own start, and we have a finish class this weekend. We'll bring up the third wave, so it's kind of cool having three waves here at the Autobahn Country Club. It's the first time I can remember doing this for a while. As cars are making their way into the grid. Just a couple of minutes. We're just a couple minutes away from today's race. And for you fans enjoying today's races, head on over to the flight deck. Many options for your adult beverage pleasure. It's $8 a drink. You can either pay in cash or to your member account. As cars are gridded for the final time for today's GT Challenge race. Special greetings to all of you watching on YouTube. 'And we want to thank Highland Management Associates, Eurosport, and CXI Trucking for sponsoring the GT Challenge races. As the cars are getting into position for the races. Grid sheets. 30 cars have entered today's race. Again, we mentioned that Tom Herb and Mark Bowden are on the front row. Alongside row 2 will be Dan Go the 91. And Brett Grogan in the 771. Row 3. Row 3 at the 314 of Matt Alexander in the 63 of David Hurt. Row 4 is 15 of Britt Casey and her GT2 pole sitter Joel Weinberger in the 6. Interesting note, this is the biggest GT1 field that I can remember in recent memory, so great to see that the GT1 field looking pretty good. Of course, it usually looks really good for the member week, the big full track weekends, but this is the biggest I can remember in a very long time. In row 5 is the 40 of Tony Melito and the 31 of John Jodoin. Melito is in GT2 and Jodoin Joe Dwayne is in GT3. Row 6 is 02 Chris Berry and the 08 Mike Berardi. Then GT3, row 7 is the 05 of Gene Joe Dwayne and the 501 of Mo Dodaka. Row 8 is the 229 Charlie Margosian and 51 of Brian Lehman, and all alone on row 9 in the first wave will be Julie Wiggin in the 90. Row 1 of the GT5 wave will be Shane Leathers, the 575, and the 71 of Mike Beck. Row 2, the 89 of Bob Morian and the 74 of Jim Hammond. Great to see Jim Hammond back in the field. Row 3 will be Jim Dvorak in the 39, Cheryl Williams in the 99, and the ceremonial pace cars are heading onto the circuit. Bringing up the rear in the GT5 wave is Dave Varwig in the 80 and Brian Helmentoller in the 28 Volkswagen Beetle. And finally, our vintage group, comprised of over 3 liters and 3 liters and under, looks like this. Glenn Sprigler in the 58 will be alongside Brian Weathered in the 99V, and there's some special significance with the 99. We'll talk about that during the race. Jason Friedlander in the 23 and Jason Nupp in the 394 will be alongside each other, row 2. And Gary Naubach is the last car in the vintage wave. Pace car coming out onto the circuit, and the cars are headed out. As we get started with today's festivities, these cars will set up for their start. Again, it's going to be one pace lap, so they'll get a green or some sort of flag next time by, usually green. And then we'll have 12 laps set for today's race. So we're just about ready to get this pace lap underway. Biggest field I can remember in quite some time. We have several past champions in today's race. Your defending GT1 champion, Dan Gove, is in the third spot. Qualifying for the front row, really tight. 3 tenths of a second separated Tom Herb and Mark Bowden. As the GT5 field coming up to the back of the grid. And we are about ready to get started on this pace lap. So we are, as the field works their way around, wherever you are around the racetrack, get ready for today's race with waving your hats, waving whatever you can. Show the drivers that you're ready to watch some racing. Once again, Tom Herb in the front row alongside Mark Bowden in GT1. Tom Herb just took delivery of that Mercedes not too long ago, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Dan Grove in the 91, Butch Crocker in the 771 make up row 2. Row 3 is Matt Alexander in the 314, David Hurt in the 63. Row 4, Britt Casey in the 15, Joe Weinberger in the 6. Row 5 is Tony Melito in the 48, John Joe Doyne in 31. Row 6 is Chris Berry in the 02, Mike Bernardi in the 08. Row 7, Gene Joe Doyne in the 05, Mo Dodaka in the 501. Row 8 is the 29 Charlie Margosian in the 51 of Brian Lehman. All along the GT in row 9, the GT 1 through 4 wave is Julie Reagan in her Factory 5 Cobra in the 90. In GT5, it's going to be Shane Leathers alongside Mike Keck in row 1. Row 2, Bob Norrie in the 89, Jim Hammond in the 74. Row 3, Jim Dvorak and Cheryl Williams, 39 next to 99. And behind that will be 80 of Dave Varwig and Brian Helmentoller in the 28. Now, Helmentoller, he's in a Volkswagen Beetle. He is not a GT5 competitor, but has to be back in the GT5 race. And in, once again, the vintage class, we have Glenn Sprigler, the 58, the 99V of Brian Weathered. Spiegler is in the over 3 liter and Weathered the 3 liter and under class. In the 23, Jason Friedlander is alongside Jason Nupp in the 394, and Gary Naubach, your other 3-liter and under competitor. Now the field working their way around 8, 9, 10 as we see the vintage group kind of pacing themselves. There'll be 3 distinct waves on the circuit as we are watching the field make their way around. They'll enter the north circuit here shortly. If you're anywhere around the circuit and want to listen to coverage, 103.7 FM is the way to do it, but we're live on YouTube as we speak right now for the first time for Oktoberfest 2021. As everybody at GT1 field working their way into the North Circuit. It'll be 12 laps once we get down to the lines of the best GT racing you're going to see all season long. Is here in Oktoberfest, as we do see drivers that we don't normally see. And Tom Herb with a new Mercedes. Mark Bowden, he's a Porsche. Dan Goes, we know we see him host GT weekends. Mart Scroggin making his appearance in the 771 Porsche. Also to see Joel Weinberger and Tony Melito out on the circuit. Mo Dodaka, he's been campaigning in the World Racing League, and this is a new BMW for him. And Brian Lehman in the 51 Camaro. The leaders are making their way around the north side. The ceremonial cars are in the pit. Here comes the pace car. Field starting to pair up on the back side of the racetrack around turn 18 as we see the pace car in the pits. It's Tom Herb, Mark Bowden side by side in row 1. Behind them, Dan Gove and Brett Scrogg at 91 and 771. Down the straightaway they come. Eyes on the starter, Jeff Plain. As they slowly come down, green flag is out. Mark Bowden with a little bit of a jump as they come down the straightaway. Your leader coming through the turn 1 area is going to be Bowden for now. And he'll get a clear advantage over Tom Herb in that Mercedes. So it is Bowden, Herb, and Scroggin. Scroggin's going to look to the outside. Got one car spinning on the south straightaway. It looks like it is Alexander with the spin. Not sure if he made contact, but your leader still Mark Bowden. And Tom Herb trying to do all he can to keep Scroggin behind him through turn number 3. Big gap on Bowden as he comes through turn number 4. Everybody single file thus far, as the GT5 field has gotten their start as well, waiting on the vintage group to get their start. But it looks like that Bowden, he's got a good clear advantage. A little wiggle for Herb coming into turn number 6. Side-by-side battle between Casey and the 08 of Bernardi. That is not for class position. As well, let's see Melito go to the inside of Bernardi, going to make the pass happen, but how long will that last? Again, it is GT2 against GT3, so maybe the pass that Melito needed to get ahead in the advantage as your leaders making their way off the long back straightaway. And Bowden really showing his muscle early on. Now, he was 0.3 of a second behind Herb in qualifying. Here's a battle for position between Chris Berry and 08 of Bernardi. Again, that is actually for class position in GT3 as Berry trying to do all he can to stay around the outside, and he's going to get around the 08 of Bernardi, and Bernardi actually gets ahead of him. Of course, Mo Dodaka going to try and do all he can to try and get around this battle, so but Dodaka is in the GT4 class. Berry falling back just a little bit into the throes of Dodaka coming through turn number 16. So Bernardi has gotten ahead of Chris Berry. As we also see a battle for position between the 15 of Britt Casey and the 6 of Joel Weinberger. That's Casey in the GT1 and Weinberger in the GT2. Now Berry has caught up to Bernardi once again as they come through turn number 19 onto the front straightaway. It is Bowden, Herb, and Scroggin, your top 3. Still watching this battle, though, for overall position between Weinberger and Casey around the clubhouse. Weinberger in a GT2 Ferrari And Casey going to try and look to the outside of Weinberger through turn and heading into turn number 2. Still got a battle though between Barry and Bernardi coming through turn number 3. So Barry has about a couple second lead. We're also watching this battle for overall position between the 6 and the 15. That is for 7th place, 6 of Weinberger, and the 15 of Britt Casey Sr. as they go through turn number 5. Bolito and GT2 also trying to see if he can get around Weinberger. Weinberger has that GT2 lead. Molito, he's a couple cars back, but he still wants it. Casey trying to take a look and not going to make anything happen through the turns as they work their way onto the long back straightaway. So far, so good with this battle. This is probably the closest one we have on track, as we do see that the Barry-Bernardi battle kind of has an accordion effect throughout the field. Now, we see Casey try to look to the inside. He's not going to make it happen this time on Weinberger, too far away. As that Trans Am Camaro just a little, not enough so far for Weinberger. As Weinberger able to get back on the gas just a little bit quicker. As the field making their way around the north side of the circuit, you see Casey sizing up what he can do here in the closing lap. So it's a battle for GT5. Keck goes to the inside of Leathers as Leathers gets pushed out wide. So Leathers loses the lead in GT5. We'll see how long that lasts as Keck kind of muscles his way around turn number 11. So good battle there as Keck opens up a little bit of a lead behind them, laying in wait. It's the 89 of Bob Norian. But does Leathers start to catch up onto Keck? We watch them go through the backside of the North Circuit as it is about a 5-6 car length gap between the 691 of Keck and the 575 of Shane Leathers. Still look pretty good though, as we're seeing lots of racing action here in the GT Challenge finale for 2021. Leathers not close enough to have anything happen here in the next couple of corners, but a lot of straightaway action left. We are working lap number 3. Your top 3 still remain Bowden, Herb, and Scroggin. Bowden walked away to a 5.3 second lead overall and in GT1. I'll tell you what, though, that last time by, Keck with a 41.4 to 43.0 out of Leathers. Heck of a lap by Keck. As you do see the 89 Norian sitting back there in third. Fourth is Jim Hammond. Hammond trying to reel in the 89 of Norian, so it's Mazda ahead of Porsche. Your top 4 in GT5, Porsche, Mazda, and Porsche. Cheryl Williams, the 99, she's also sitting 5th. It looks like Casey has caught up to the 6 of Weinberger. He's going to take a peek to that outside. Weinberger's going to take his line, and Casey not going to have enough time to make a pass. Looks like it's about 2 car lengths separating the 2 cars as they come around the south part of the circuit onto the north circuit. And those beautiful Ferraris and Camaros around 13 and 14. And of course, not too far behind Tony Molito and the fall line BMW. And we got a great battle for position here in GT5. That's the 80 of Varwig and the 39 of Dvorak. Dvorak making a pass around the 80 of Varwig. And that looks like that is for 6th position in GT5. As Dvorak opens up a little bit of a gap. Now they both have to get around Riggin here momentarily. We'll see if Dvorak can pick the right spot to get around Riggin to kind of open up a gap between he and Varwig. Good to see David Varwego. Don't normally see him racing. Usually Sean, his son, who does a good job in both GT5 and in Spec Miata. He'll run both cars, but this is a weekend where Sean's just going to focus on Spec Miata, so it's great to see both the father and son out this weekend for GT Challenge. Dvorak closing in on Riggin. This is for overall position, not necessarily class position. Riggin is in GT4. Also taking a look at the leaders making their way around the vintage group. So there's Herb in his white Mercedes. It's great to see the vintage group out here. I want to thank Eurosport for bringing them out and introducing the club to different kind of race classes here. As Tom Herb utilizing the flash function on that Mercedes. Now this used to be a CP Racing Mercedes. It was bought by from Charles Espinlaw. It used to run in the European Creventic 24-hour series. It's a past championship winner. And I had an opportunity to watch it test around Road America several weeks ago. And to say it's bad fast is an understatement. It's great to see, and I tell you what, Tom is excited to be racing. He let me in on a little clue. He said, I might be racing this weekend. He didn't tell me that Mark Bowden was going to be running with the with him as well. But as we said, Tom Herb won the GT1 championship at the SECA National Championship runoffs a couple weeks ago at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in his Porsche. He asked, how did he do it? Well, it rained, so the team came in under the pace lap and was able to change tires. And because they were on rain tires, while most of the field was on slicks, he was able to get around. So this is a battle for position in GT1 right now between Brent Scroggin and Tom Herb. That's the battle for second place. Is Scroggin a couple car lengths back from Tom Herb as they come around the back of the clubhouse. Herb in the 16 Mercedes, Scroggin in the 771 Porsche, and not too far back is our defending series champion, Dan Gove, in his Corvette. Got to say hi to the Gove family. If they're watching, I'd love to see you guys out here again next season more. As the battle for second rages on, we see that Herb is able to open up a little bit bigger gap to Scroggin. Scroggin will be running in the Spec Miata race later today as well, so definitely want to stay tuned for all you Scroggin fans. Ran into him this morning. He said, it's a fantastic day when you can run both cars, and indeed it is. Always great to see Brett Scroggin behind the wheel. As the field ticking by another lap, we'll get halfway flag here in just a couple of laps. We're working lap number 5 of 12. I'll tell you what, this has been a fantastic race so far. For Casey the 15, still trying to catch up to Dole Weinberger in the 6. Not too far behind them, again, still Tony Melito in the 48. So got a bit of a GT2 battle flavor there. As now we see the 16 and the 771 equal distance apart. And Gove doing all he can to try and get on that podium for later on today. Your class leaders are looking like this. In GT1, it is still Mark Bowden, 9 seconds ahead of Tom Herb. In GT2, it's Joel Weinberger in the 6 GT3. John Jodoin in the 31 Porsche GT4. Right now going to Mo Dodaka, GT5, Mike Keck. We saw that pass that Keck made on Shane Leathers. Got a good battle for the bottom step podium in GT5 as well between the 89 of Bob Nordian and the 71 of Jim Hammond. Catch up with that eventually. In the over 3 liter class, it's Glenn Spriegler in the 58, and 3 liters and under. Jason Nupp is your leader in the 394. There's a battle for third in GT5 between the 89 of Nordian and the 74 of Jim Hammond. Jim Hammond's been running in different series around the country, and great to see that he's been primarily in the Porsche Cup. He and Stephen Hammond both running with TLM Racing outside of Autobahn. Here they're under the, at least Jim is under the Eurosport camp this weekend. As we're also watching that overall battle between the 6 and the 15. Looks like Brett Casey a little closer than what he's been the past several laps. As Casey trying to get, there's been a race-on battle between he and Weinberger. So it's a 6 Ferrari ahead of the 15 Camaro. It's a TA2 Camaro. Still nothing from the 15 as they come around turn number 8. So Weinberger opens up a little bit again. A little better off corner than Weinberger, should say Casey is. Halfway this time by for our overall leader. That's going to be Mark Bowden. And oh, that might be a nice pick, and it is. Weinberger makes a nice pick, puts a vintage car between he and Britt Casey. That's going to give Melito a chance to catch up, as Melito is going to go around the outside of the vintage car down the link. I'll see if Melito has anything for Britt Casey as they go around the North Circuit. 6 laps in, 6 laps to go. Mark Bowden with a healthy lead over Tom Herbert, the 16. Brett Scroggin in the 771 sits third. Dan Go fourth in the 91. Fifth is the 63 of David Hart. Your top 5 all GT1 competitors. Your GT3 class leaders, John Jodoin in the 31. Joe Doyle also running in the Global MX5 Cup part-time for a plan to run full-time next season. John Joe Doyle, who said 6th place, 7th place, Joel Weinberger. 8th goes to Britt Casey, the 15. 9th is Tony Melito. 10th is Chris Berry in GT3. Mike Bernardi, the 08 is 11th. 12th is Gene Jodoin in the 05. Mododaki, GT4 leader in the 501, sits 13th. 14th goes to Charlie Margozzi in the 229. GT5 leader stills Mike Keck in the 691. He's got 0.6 of a second advantage over Shane Leathers in the 575. 74 of Jim Hammond sits 18th, 19th to 51 Brian Lehman. 20th is Sher Williams in the 99. Jim DeBork is 21st in the 39. 22nd is Dave Varwig in the 80th. Julie Riggin in the 90 is 23rd. 24th, Brian Helmetoller in GT4. Still a battle for that position between the 15 and the 6. That's 7th overall, not in class. As we saw, we see now that Britt Casey has caught up to Joel Weinberger. Back to the running order real quick. Glenn Striegler, your over 3-liter leader, is in 25th place in the 58. Then it's Jason Friedlander in the 23. Your 3-liter and under leader is Jason Nupp in the 394, 27, 28th. 19th, Gary Knobloch. 29th, the 99B of Brian Weatherford. And 30th, Matt Alexander didn't even play the lap. So on to this 99V, Brian Weatherford. Is a blue Porsche. If you've been around the Autobahn Country Club, you're very familiar with the car. It belonged to the late, great Peter Martin. And we talked to Brian Weatherford about the car, and he said that they kind of put a different motor and made it the under 3-liter category. Because it was a powerful motor, if you remember. It was loud. But nonetheless, it's great to see that Peter's legacy still living on here at the Autobahn Country Club, especially under the Eurosport tent. Kind of sentimental to see that car on track as well. Well, we see that Tom Herb is picking off cars left and right, trying to keep slower traffic between he and the 771 of Scroggin. As they go down turn number 4, Scroggin trying to do all he can to keep Dan Cove behind him as well. as they're working their way through the south portion of the track. Still that battle for third in GT5 between the 89 of Norian and the 74, I should say, of Jim Hammond. Last time by, about 0.4 of a second separated the two cars as they come down the straightaway. They'll have to contend with the vintage traffic here shortly as your overall leader, Mark Bowden, makes his way around turn number 11 into 12 and out of the north part of the circuit. And it looks like that Norian has opened up a little bit of a gap between he and Hammond. So that might be advantage Norian when it comes time to get around the vintage traffic. As it makes his way through 14, slows up. Oh, I don't know. This might be advantage Hammond as he's able to close up that gap because Norian had to get out of the binders to avoid any sort of issue, as it looks like Hammond is starting to close in on Norian as there's a couple corners that Hammond can catch up to Norian on. He's exiting 16, and yeah, Hammond is closing in quickly. So he lost momentum, and of course also does Tom Herb come into play to help Hammond out going on to the straightaway. Nice little pick that the 721 of Scroggin makes, but the 91 to go able to make that same pick as well. Down the front straightaway, they come to complete yet another lap. We do see that Tom Herb, he's in between the 89 and the 74. And that just gives a little bit of an edge to the 74, but it does not help out Scroggin as he's going to wait to get around the slower GT5 traffic onto the south front straightaway. And Gove has caught up as well. So Gove is within striking distance to get on that podium for GT1. That's a great battle. So we see that the lap traffic battle has helped out the GT5 battle, but the GT1 battle is just heating up as they go through turn number 4. Now, that time by, 89 Norian held up the 91 Gove. You know, that's just how Gove got into traffic. It's, you know, nobody's fault. But Hammond now has closed in once again on Norian. So we're watching the battle for third place in GT1 and the battle for third place in GT5. That battle's closing up. We'll see how they come down into turn number 8. Nice little draft that Hammond gets on Norian. Norian tries to break that through the kink of turn number 7. Hammond looks to the inside. Not going to make anything happen as Norian still holds that third spot in GT5 thus far. We'll see if Hammond can draft up upon Norian here shortly as they come off of turn number 10. The left-hander that sets you up for the long back straightaway on the south course. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, this is the battle for the GT5 lead between Norian in the battle for the third place, I should say, in GT5, between Norian and the 89, Hammond in the 74. It's Mazda ahead of Porsche. Cheryl Williams sitting back there as well, just in case anything goes wrong there with a pass for the third place. Shane Leathers holding off Mike Keck by 1.9 seconds, but we're also watching this battle again for 6th place now between Joe Weinberger and Britt Casey. 6 over 15, GT2 over GT1. As Casey gets a little better run off of turn number 10. That's something we haven't seen much. We've seen Weinberger get better runs as he's going to look to the inside, down straightaway there, side by side. Does Casey get the edge? He has the note out front. He finally races along, battle between Weinberger and Casey goes wide. Weinberger now able to take advantage, but move Casey ahead of Weinberger. Now John Joe Blaine is actually between Weinberger and Melito for that battle for GT2. Melito looking pretty good so far this weekend as well. So you can move Casey that 6th spot, as now he'll set his sights on, he's got a gap between, sizable gap between he and the 63, David Hurt, with that race-long battle. And now we're seeing Britt Casey get inside that clean air, going to the start-finish line, and he's able to open up a gap just a little bit better. We saw lap after lap. Casey was trying to do his best to eat into that advantage. Wasn't able to do it. It took him about 9 laps to be able to get around that Ferrari. So, still your top 3, Bowden, Herb, and Scroggin. Scroggin still a little bit ways back, but enough of a striking distance to make something happen. 3 laps to go. As we see Melito try and get around the 31 of John Joe Doyne. Joe Doyne's in GT3. Melito is in GT2. So it's Porsche ahead of BMW. This is the battle for 8th place overall. And it could set up battle for the GT2 lead, though it might be too little too late for Melito to make anything happen. Mike Bernardi is into the pits. He was 12th last time by, but that kind of will settle the GT3 podium so far. And find out the issue with Mike Bernardi as the 31 of Joe Doyne opening up a little bit of a gap between he and the 48 of Melito. Of course, lap traffic is going to come into play. Joe Doyne gets on binders in turn number 8. He's going to have Melito all up the rear wing here shortly. Melito's going to get around as, no, he's not. So Joe Doyne puts the vintage Porsche between he and Melito. A smart move by 31 of the younger Joe Doyne. So that's opened up a little bit of gap, giving Joe Doyne a little bit of breathing room. But how long will that last? 2 laps to go. Bowden and Herb and Scott all across the line. Your top 3 overall and in GT1. As we are in the stages of this race, it looks like Melito, he's really good on straightaways, but does he have enough for Joe Doyne in the curves? As they go through, well, Joe Doyne opens up a little bit of a gap through the 13, 14, 15 complex, but still got a couple of great opportunities for Melito to kind of reel in that Porsche. So again, this is for overall position, 8th place, 31 over 48. Great view down looking towards turn number 17, as it kind of looks like one car nose to tail, but nonetheless, it is still Melito behind Joe Doyne. Melito closes within 1 to 2 car lengths going through the 18-19 complex, as they will see the white flag next time by. Looks like somebody's getting a warning as Melito goes to the outside of Joe Doyne. And Melito gets that position. Now he sets his sights on Weinberger. Looking at lap times, Weinberger's running a second faster a lap, so don't think there'll be enough time for Melito to get up front to Weinberger. But nonetheless, we are at 2 laps to go. Bowden, he's coming around here shortly to take that white flag. And you could say a commanding victory by commanding race by the 46 of Mark Bowden, but looks like that Melito may have to hold off Joe Doyne for a couple more corners. Oh, little slide, little off by the 0-2 of Chris Berry in turn number 6. You saw it on YouTube. Berry just lost it coming through 6. He's back underway. So a nice attempted to stay by Chris Berry. He's back underway. It's got a brake marker in process. As the white flag is out for our leader, Mark Bowden, 46 with an 18-second lead. There's the white flag. There's Shane Leathers coming down the front straightaway. That lead that he had was pretty small over Mike Keck. The 575 of Leathers leads Mike Keck, and problems for the 91 of Dan Gove. Slides off course, and he is back underway. Not sure what happened to the 91 ago, but he's still underway. And it sounds like that 91 ago slid off track and came back on track. Now there's your leader. Mark Bowden, as he is on his final race lap. Tell you what, it's been a great couple weeks to be Mark Bowden. Two of his drivers won two of their races in the SCCA runoffs. You have a car off in turn number 9. I want to address that real quick. You had Tim Kesman win in GT2 in the wet. Tom Hurd became the first ever Porsche driver to win in GT1 in the wet. And yeah, Mark Bowden just running Full Line Motorsports as a championship-winning organization once again. Great to see them on the top step of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But right now, he's got his sights set on one top step, and that's here at the Autobahn Country Club in GT1. He's got a huge lead. Doesn't have to push too hard here in the final corners, but that Porsche is all hooked up. They've been run well so far this year. In the 46 of Mark Bowden. He's led from green to checker as he got the jump off of Tom Hurd at the start. Comes around turn number 18 and 19. He has his eye set on the starter. Checker flag. The twin checkers come out from starter Jeff Plain. Mark Bowden is your GT1 and overall winner in the final GT Challenge race of 2021. As we do see Tom Hurd come across the line, he is your second place finisher. Now, something to watch out for is the track record, and he will not break that, as that is set by Neil Gahani with 2:22.8. Fastest lap that Tom Hurd did was a 2:22.89. So 9/10 of a second off of that time. There are some happy fans. Shane Leathers comes across the line for the twin checkers, your GT5 winner. Mo Tadaka wins in GT4. Oh, it's still coming across, I should say. But great races by Brett Scroggin. Dan Gove makes his way around the course to finish. Also, David Hurt, 5th place in GT1. Britt Case, you'll see where he is. Oh, like a little bit of a shake by our star, but nonetheless a great finish by Mark Bowden. The 46, 15.1 seconds separate first and second. So fall line 1-2. Battle for 4th in GT5. Williams on the rear wing of Hammond. Not going to make anything happen. So 3rd, 4th, and 5th come across the line as Hammond, Norian, Hammond, and Williams, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Twin checkers are out for your GT2 winner, Joel Weinberger. And John O'Doyle comes across the line in GT3 to win, waiting on Mo Tadaka, your GT4 leader. As the twin checkers are out. And Chris Berry comes across the line for GT3. Gene Jodoin in the 05 coming down the straightaway. He takes the twin checker flag to finish in GT2. That's 2nd place, and wait for a GT4 winner. Mo Tadaka in the 501 comes around turn number 19, and we have seen all winners cross the line here in GT Challenge for the final time. Mo Tadaka wins. So with that in mind, Mark Bowden, again, your winner in GT1, Tom Hurd, second the 16. 771 of Brett Scroggin sits 3rd, 4th, the 91 of Dan Gove. 5th goes to David Hurt in the 63. 6th to Britt Casey in the 15. 7th is the 6th of Joel Weinberger. 8th is the 48 of Tony Molino. 9th goes to John Jodoin in GT3. And Chris Berry, 10th in the 02. 11th is Gene Jodoin. Then Mo Tadaka in 12th in the 501. 13th is Charlie Margozzi in the 229. 14th, Shane Leathers, your GT5 winner. 15th is Buck Heck in the 691. 16th, the 89 of Bob Norton. 17th, the 74 Jim Hammond. 18th, the 99 Cheryl Williams. Then it's Jim Dvorak in the 39. Brian Lehman, 51. 20th. Dave Harwig in the 21st. Also, a race for GT Challenge, getting ready for the final Chase Pro race of the 2021 season. For those of you in the paddock, make sure you, for the Chase Race competitors, please head to the grid. Chase Race competitors, please head to the grid. If you're looking for a good place to watch the race, it's the Lexus Observation Deck. Also, take a look at the RCF, starting with its dedicated rear-wheel drive platform and adding the raw power of a naturally aspirated 472 horsepower and 395 foot-pound torque with its 5.0-liter V8 engine, 8-speed sport direct-shift automatic transmission, and horse and limited slip differential. The RCF delivers the level of exhilarating performance that hits 60 miles an hour mark in just 4.1 seconds. Head over to the Lexus display. Check out all the Lexuses that are there, and make sure you head into the hospitality area. Enjoy everything that Lexus has to offer. Also, if you have a chance, head over to the Chevrolet display. Enter for your chance to win $50,000 for any Chevrolet of your choice. Any Corvette owners, make sure that you show that you are a Corvette owner to get some free prizes along the way. While you're there, head over to the flight deck. Several different flavors to get for margaritas or a drink of your choice. $8. You can either use cash or put it on your member tab. Also, Chase Race competitors, please make your way over to the South Grid for your race. Chase Race Pro competitors, please make your way to the South Grid for your race. And we'll have our podium ceremonies at the end of the day at 6 o'clock. So we'll have our podium ceremonies at 6 o'clock at the end of the day. cars that are on display. You can even take a look at the GTD Lexus driven by Jack Hawksworth and Aaron Tietlitz in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series. Haggerty Insurance is also the official sponsor of the Autobahn Member Racing Series. Find out more about Haggerty and their display in front of the members building. Right next to them, get yourself a margarita from the flight deck. They have one of 3 trucks that come out to different events. Find out more about how you can have a flight deck at your event also by going to the flight deck in front of the members building. Also, while you're there, head over, see John at Chevrolet. Enter to win a chance to win win $50,000 towards a Chevrolet of your choice. And Corvette owners, show off that you're a Corvette owner for a free gift as well. So we're just moments away from starting the Chase race here. It's the Chase Pro Race. We ended our Chase Sportsman Series. Heidi Graybiel, your champion there. 2 minutes away. So it's great to see Heidi just making her presence known here in the racing series. Can't wait to see her jump up to the Pro Series and even see the Graybiels run in Spec Miata. Talking about you too, Jen. As we will see the cars leave pit road here shortly. Lexus is also providing our VIP cars ahead of the pace cars. Lexus is also official pace car provider. So definitely head over to Lexus and find out more about their performance vehicles, including the ISF 350F Sport, producing up to 311 horsepower. The IS 350F Sport is track honed and optimized for aggressive launches and intense cornering. As I said yesterday, perfect for the Chase race. Now, we'll have Mike Ritter joining us here momentarily to talk a little bit about the Chase race. We'll get these cars into the North Pit Road as they will begin their final race of the 2021 season. About 10 seconds away from releasing the pace car onto the circuit. Again, if you are watching on YouTube, I do want to let you know that we will switch to a part 2 here in just a little while, just before the Wings and Things race, and that's going to be really exciting as well, so you don't want to miss that. All right, the Chase Race competitors are on the circuit. First off will be Mark Basso in his black Miata. Then it's Gary Traverso in his number 72 Miata. Kevin Malone will follow him. That's Art Zeismer. Brian Helmensholer comes straight from the GT Challenge race onto the race race in his Volkswagen. Eamon Ryan will be ahead of Mike Linko, Jim Dvorak, Greg Sorg, Abe Carini, Adam Lava, and Ron Rashinsky. We'll let you know what cars what as they launch off the line. And there's the Lexus display. If you get a chance, head over there. Go on top of the observation deck. It's a great spot to watch a race. Also, go into the hospitality area, as that's a great place to take a break, and see what's going on through there. We'll have victory lane ceremonies there at 6 o'clock. Award all of our winners. As you see the paddock, full excitement. The car track is active as well. If you get a chance to head over to the car track, I recommend it. It is so fun on the circuit with the rental cart. You don't necessarily need your own cart to go have a good time. And of course, tomorrow will be the final kart race of the 2021 season. So make sure you head out there. The festivities go through the morning. And we see that some of the racers making their way around the circuit. Great to see a lot of activity this weekend for the final weekend of the 2021 season. It's OctoberFast 2021 live on YouTube and here at the racetrack, 103.7 FM. Great to have you with us. If you get a chance, make sure you watch the race monitor for your Apple, Android, or Windows mobile-powered device. As the ceremonial cars making their way around the circuit, as well as the rest of the chase race competitors. This is one of the few times that they get a chance to do a lap around the racetrack just before the start of their race. As we have everybody in tow heading onto the North Pit Road here momentarily. And the car will be coming onto the circuit here momentarily. As they are just about ready to come on for the lineup of the race. As the field slowly making their way into the pits for the start of the chase race. Again, this is going to be 6 laps from the time the first car leaves until whoever finishes this race. So it's kind of interesting as we see the cars making their way down pit road. The pace car will stop past the start line to make sure that everybody is there. Of course, there's a ceremonial car. As the field coming into the pit road. So Mark Basso will be the first driver to parties in this no-numbered black Miata. Jeff Lane going to say, all right, you got to stop right there. Oh, fantastic shot of the field as they come by. Mostly first 4 Miata, so we'll get the cars fully stopped. Jeff Lane giving instructions to Mark Basso. Going to start giving the instructions to the rest of the field. As here comes is Jeff trying to bunch up the field just a little bit. It works a lot better if as we're just about ready to get set for today's final chase race. You'll see the countdown: 3, 2, 1. We're underway. Mark Basso comes down. Right behind him, Gary Traverso. Then it's the 3:15 of Kevin Malone. He's got a little bit of a gap, about 8 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. As we see the 15 hard times, we're going through Brian Helmentoller. Stop. 3, 2, 1. Helmentoller is underway. That's the 3:19 of Mike Ryan. Ryan had a hump failure, and I talked to him this morning, and he said that he was able to get it fixed. And we thought that there was more damage than there was with the 319. Of course, is kind of big because at the same time they had to, he thought that there was worse damage than there was to the rear bumper. He told me, he goes, no, not really. Just had to pull it. We had to pull it out. So great work by the Advanced Auto Sports crew. And they're able to get Mike Ryan back out there. He's been a front runner in SM2, and we'll talk more about SM2 here momentarily. As Lenko, Dvorak, Sorg, Creamy all out. Adam Lava makes the launch here shortly. And it's Ryan Rashinsky. First weekend in that BMW. Talked to him, asked if he was doing GT Challenge. Obviously, we know he's not. But nonetheless, he said car's a little bit too overweight. So I'm going to go on a diet in the offseason. Going to see that we're seeing more cars. It's great to see the M2 out there on the circuit. It is a slick-looking race car. It's got a big gap between he and Adam Lava. It's over a minute. It's actually a minute 20. That's the gap between the two of them. As cars are making their way around the North Circuit. So, as the field making their way around for the first time at speed, we do see Ron Rashinsky is now out. All cars have left the pit lane, so Rashinsky sees if he can go up near the front. As we are underway in this chase race. So cars coming across the line at speed for the first time. As we'll see what they can do. Again, there are time penalties associated with breaking out, and they're a little bit more generous than your qualifying time, nonetheless. And we see battle for the overall lead unofficially. It's a 72 of Traverso looking to go to the inside of Basso. Basso's not going to let anything happen. He's not going to make it easy for Traverso. It might not be a bad idea just for Basso to just let him pass because he if he breaks out, he breaks out. That's his own problem at this time. Down the back straightaway they come. And so we'll go over the chase race rules here shortly. As, a little bit of a lockup from the 72 at Traverso. He goes to the outside. A little bit of a lockup. We'll see if that affects him later on. Now, you can only go 2 seconds faster than your qualifying time before you are effectively you break out, and each breakout has a more severe penalty. So if you break out once, it's 5 seconds. If you break out again, it's another 10 seconds. So 15 seconds total is the breakout time. The third offense is an additional 20 seconds. So it's a 35-second overall penalty. A fourth offense will be an additional 40 seconds. It's a minute 15 penalty at the end of your time. 5 breakouts is 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Add to your time, additional 80 seconds. And somehow you break out on your first lap. All 6 laps you break out, it's 5 minutes, 15 seconds. Mike Gritter joins us and kind of went through a little bit of the ground rules. See if you could tell us a little bit more. But the idea now is, at the end, all 12 cars are supposed to just come across the line 12 wide.
Yeah, well, you did a pretty good job of explaining what the chase race is. And it truly is that. It's a chase race. So the slowest guy goes out first, and everybody else has to chase him. So as you were saying, you go by your qualifying time, and everyone's released from pit lane depending on that qualifying time. So theoretically, The slowest car gets released first, fastest car gets released last, and within 6 laps, the fastest car should catch the slowest car, and they all cross the line at the same time. So chase race has been one of the fun things we've been doing with our Autobahn member racing series.
And normally we see this bunch up that we see now up near the front. We see that near the end of the race, but now we're starting to see it at the first couple laps, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, we've got a group here together, so these Spec Miatas, they qualify very closely to each other. What they've got to be careful of is get caught up in racing, and then they end up going faster than they qualified, which, like you said, could lead to breakouts. So they got to be careful there, and while they're, fixed on each other and trying to deal with each other, the faster cars are catching them from behind.
All right, Torso runs a 58.0. He's good. What's interesting, too, is you can actually follow along with this on Race Monitor, because as we mentioned yesterday, if you were here at the racetrack, that every time a driver has a faster lap, it shows up in green automatically, so it's easier to see.
Yeah, and then so we have the fortune up here in race control of knowing what their qualifying times are and seeing that instantaneously to know if someone broke out. Now with the camera system, people have much more access to see what's going on in the chase race that we've been exclusive to all this time. So it's really exciting to be able to show this to people. And the beauty of the chase race is so the first couple laps everybody's spread out, but as the race goes on, they start getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And when that white flag comes out, you really get an idea of whether we're going to have a good chase race going or not.
Yeah, then this is a great battle here as we do see the 315 going to the inside of Traverso. That's Malone. So we now have Malone ahead. He's gained 2 positions in the past couple corners. Back to chase race. This is the Pro Series. What if I want to run chase race and I don't have a racing license?
Well, that's what's great about the chase race. It's the perfect place to actually start racing and get your feet wet in competition. So with a sportsman chase race, you don't need a competition license. You don't need a race car. All you need is just a little bit of a track experience and be comfortable out there. You don't have to be the fastest driver because this really rewards consistency. So if you want to get that experience of going through a driver's meeting and qualifying and that pressure of a race and the excitement and the adrenaline of a race, the sportsman class is the greatest place to start for racing. You get all that experience and you learn how to handle that stuff. And in a chase race, you really have to keep your mental game there because you can get caught up doing someone else's race, and you really got to focus on yourself and just run consistent laps and not worry about what's going on around you. As we can see with this pack going here, their danger here is trying to chase someone who may be breaking out. So you got to run your own race and not get caught up with that.
Mike, real quick, last time I unofficially, Art Zeismer broke out. He can only do a 53.0, 52.8 out of the 51. And what's interesting is you don't know what lap time you're not supposed to know what lap time you're running because you got to cover up your lap timer.
Yeah, that's correct. So while you're in the car, you are on your own. You can't have a lap timer. You can't have someone in your ear on a radio telling you what your lap times are. And it's very interesting that you point out Art because between Art and Traverso and Basso, we've got the battle for the championship going on right there. So obviously Traverso got passed for the lead, but now he can't get caught up on that because maybe that car in front of him is breaking out. So he can't trail him too far. He's got to run his own race. And same with his competitors. So we already know that Art broke out once. Traverso and Basso aren't going to know that, so they've got to stay within their game.
And that's a 10-point gap between Art and Traverso. And then Basso, the top three are still within 35 points.
Yeah, unofficially what I've been told is that they could potentially have a 3-way tie for the championship at the end of today, and we would have to go down 2 or 3 levels of tiebreakers to crown a champion. So that's amazing. It's not the first time that's happened in the Chase Race Pro Series. Every year it seems to come down to the very last race, the very last lap, the last positions to find out who our champion is.
And if you want to see excitement at a podium ceremony, come down and watch a chase race. It adds a little bit of drama to do that.
That's where we have a lot of fun up in race control because we see the results and we know what happened. But drivers, they don't because they haven't checked math. They don't know who's broken out and who hasn't and who's received those time penalties. So we have the luxury of seeing the absolute results. And then when we go down to the podium, we keep those results hidden a little bit until we call people up, and they're always surprised.
I tell you what, doing that sportsman podium yesterday, that was fun because it's like, okay, we got the results, but first there's this, and just to see the agony on their face.
The great thing about the sportsman class, especially that we saw yesterday too, is you can come in as a first-time competitor in a sportsman class, and it is not unheard of at all to get a podium or even a win. And yesterday we saw it. We had the winner and the third place guy were both first-time ever chase racers, so it's a lot of fun.
So far, still one breakout. That's Art Zeismer. Malone, 3 laps to go, so we're going to start to see a lot of close racing here shortly. Kevin Malone, your leader, over Gary Traverso and Art Zeismer. Again, Zeismer with 1 breakout, so that's going to be a 5-second penalty. And what I think is interesting, Mike, is how this chase race format works, especially for the full track.
Yeah, because it gives them a lot of room to run their own race and not get caught up in a lot of traffic. And you don't want to be a couple laps down at the start. It happens often where we have a slower car, might be completing his very first lap by the time the fastest car is released from pit lane. Well, if we were on a shorter track, then that faster car might have 2 or even 3 laps to make up in that process. And then he's fighting through all that traffic, and that would be at a disadvantage. So the full track works great for chase race.
As we see Helmut going around some slower traffic, we have some more lap times. Traverso 55.1, he can only do it 54.9, so he's close within that buffer zone. As we said, it's 2 seconds. You can run only 2 seconds faster than your qualifying time. So you see sometimes people run on that buffer zone time, but not pass it.
Yeah, and ideally that's what you want to do. You want to qualify something that you can repeat very easily in the race, or even go just a little bit faster then, and you'll end up having a good result.
Well, Basso broke out this past time by 54.9. He can go no faster than a 55.1. Mike Linko as well, 50.6 is his fast time. 50.9 is what he can do. You also have Jim Dvork with a 50.9. Dvork can do 50.1. Greg Sork, 48.9. He can do a 47.9, so he's about within a second of that. Aiden Carini, 48.2, 47.4 is what he can do. And we see a lot of drivers.
Save him for wings.
We have a lot of drivers who they start in chase race, and it helps them out because it makes them a more consistent driver because they get that feel of, okay, I can do this. And it end up being that.
Yeah, it can end up building a lot of confidence. A lot of people may start out on track and they're very nervous, or they get to the level of actually doing a chase race and a sportsman, and they're unsure about it. And what it's going to be like, is it going to be crazy out there? And it's a great place to start to get all those nerves and those beginner things out of the way. And once you get comfortable with sportsmen, boy, I tell you, you're ready to move up. It's a great place to start and build a foundation for racing and gain that experience.
And we're starting, and it's interesting because sometimes we don't see that many cars, and I think this weekend having 12 cars is just huge on race day for the Chase Pro.
Yeah, for Chase Pro, that's probably about average is 12 cars, 10 to 12 cars. OctoberFast always brings out everybody, so we always have huge fields for OctoberFast. So it's a ton of fun. Before we used to run everybody together, so we didn't split it up into sportsman and pro. And we had races where we had 30-plus cars in one race, and that's when we decided to split it into 2 divisions, where we've got experienced guys that have race licenses. They can be given more freedom to pass in the corners, as opposed to the people in the sportsman class who may not necessarily have race experience. They have a little bit more restrictions on what the passing they can do.
Helmut, he's slow on turn number 16. He was moving his way to the front. He's off the course, waving, letting the drivers behind him know that he is slowing, so we should see him in the pits this time by. Field coming around the course for the white flag, Malone with a healthy lead over Traverso, Zeismer, and Basso. We also see, looks like 319 Orion making his way around the course. Linko doing quite well as well. White flag is out, 1 lap to go. And we'll see what happens here as Malone comes across the line. 53.5, he can do a 54.1, he can do a 53.5. As it's Malone, Traverso, Zeismer, Basso, and Ryan. Again, what we mentioned is all going to be unofficial. 5 Miatas in straight line around turn number 2. Is Malone a sitting duck? We'll find out here shortly. Again, at least Basso and Zeismer have broken out unofficially at least once. So the order that we give you now will be the order that we will, won't necessarily be on the podium. Also, while we're on the final lap, do want to let you know that in a couple of minutes we will be switching over to the part 2 of the Autobahn, of the racing schedule. Will be Wings and Things and Spec Miata to close out the 2021 Autobahn Racing Series presented by Haggerty Motorsports Sprint Racing season. Still got one more day of racing at the car track as the Carters will have their final race of the year as well. I want to thank CWF Restoration also for sponsoring the Autobahn Country Club. Great to see them alongside the racetrack. Robert Shinsky running a 35-0. You can do no better than a 30.5. Here come your leaders off of turn number 11 and into 12. Oh, that 5-car Miata train now has become a 6-car Spec Miata train, and Kevin Malone doing all he can to stay within the parameters of not breaking out, or he could just get a 5-second gap and try not to and just break out once. That's always an interesting game as well. As everybody's working their way through the North Circuit. Now, one thing we didn't mention, sportsmen, you can only pass on the straightaways here in the Pro Series. You can pass on the corners as well. Malone with a healthy lead as the rest of the field bunching up down onto turn number 16. Looks like that Zeismer right now officially in second place. As we're now 3 wide for position, that's the battle for fourth place. As the battle for third place, Bass with a little bit of a wiggle, gives it up to Traverso. Here comes Kevin Malone across the line. He will come and he will be the unofficial winner of this Chase Pro Race, the final one of 2021. Here comes the battle for position down the straightaway. It is Zeismer and Traverso, unofficially Basso, Ryan Dvorak, your top 6. Linko 7th, Adam Law 8th, Aiden Creaney 9th. 10th is a 7-1 of Greg Sorg. Waiting on Ron Rashinsky to cross the line. He is the final car as around the circuit. As this will bring us our race break here on the full circuit. And Ron Rashinsky does cross the line. But once again, we've got at least 2 drivers who have broken out. And nonetheless, this will do it for part 1 on YouTube. Make sure you head over to part 2, find it on the Autobahn Country Club YouTube page as we get ready to cross over. Want to thank Hamill Dentistry for the sponsorship of this weekend and the Chase race itself. As we're just moments away from starting the second half of the YouTube page, again, unofficially Podium, Kevin Malone, Art Zeismer, and Gary Traverso. Second and third battle for the championship, but with Art Zeismer breaking out, that may be the championship there. We'll have the podium ceremonies at 6 o'clock Central on YouTube. But for now, my name is Jeremy Scott. We're just about ready to break here from part 1. Casey's joined us here in the booth, and you actually have a drink from the Fight Club.
I do. Highly recommend it. It was Sabrina's recipe, and she let me taste hers, and I opted to buy the same.
$8, and I'll tell you what, I've had the drinks from. It's actually the Docket in Wood, but great to see the Flight Club down here. It's $8, and I think that's money well spent, 'cause that looks like a fantastic drink.
It is really good, and what was fun is the owner said that she not only goes to weddings but also funerals. So what a way to, I guess, cheers to the departed.
Head over to the Flight Club in front of the members building. Get yourself a margarita, especially if you're not racing right now in the next couple races. Also, head over to the Chevrolet display. Enter for a chance to win $50,000 towards a Chevrolet your choice. While you're over there, head over to the Lexus display as well. Take in the sights of the hospitality over at Lexus and see the cars on site. We also want to thank Haggerty Insurance for their support of the Autobahn Member Racing Series, and find out more information how you can get your track car insured with Haggerty Insurance. I'm Jeremy Scott. We'll be right back in just a little bit. The YouTube feed will be up for about a couple more minutes, and then we'll switch over to part 2. Attention in the paddock, attention in the paddock, Wings and Things competitors. The grid is now open. Wings and Things competitors, the grid is now open. Welcome back to the Autobahn Country Club. If you are watching us on YouTube, thanks for making the switch over to part 2 of our 2-part race series. This is the final 2 races of the 2021 Sprint Racing season, the Autobahn Member Racing Series presented by Hagerty Motorsports. Okay. Okay. So for those of you watching on YouTube, actually, we're going to cut